Hey, One Punch Man fans, this is Chris Bolts, and this is the season that just will not stop giving. Fans are split, or so this YouTuber would have you believe, and I think he's probably correct. This is Mastar. Mastar is one of the premium One Punch Man channels, and if you're not familiar with Mastar, he did a fan-made One Punch Man animation several months ago that I reacted to, and I thought it was really good. And this guy, he's onto something when it comes to talking about One Punch Man. And just want to ask, is the fandom really split in half? I think it should actually be 75-25. But if it's 50-50, some of you guys gotta start looking at the tea leaves and reading them. But before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And like I said, Mastar, he's one of the most premier One Punch Man sites. 3 million subscribers and counting. Don't need my help or anything like that, but if you do want to watch this video without my description, I will link it in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
The fandom of One Punch Man is split in half right now. You have a bunch of content creators saying that it's One Frame Man, it's the worst experience they've ever had. And then you have the opposite saying that those people are nitpicky, it's not bad, it's pretty good, it's a step up from season 2, but these are 2 talking episodes and the real action is yet to come. So what?
I don't know who is making the argument that this is a step up from season 2. Maybe I need to go and watch more One Punch Man channels and whatnot. But no, my view, season 3 is a complete step down from season 2. And you can look, and JC Staff does their own comparison within their own episodes, both in episodes 1 and 2. They featured animation and content from season 2 of One Punch Man, and you can see the difference. It's not even night and day. It is a goddamn sun versus the moon in terms of quality and depth that you're getting from season 1 going, or rather season 2 going from season 3. We won't even compare it to season 1. We won't even compare it to season 1. So I don't know where this is going. Maybe I gotta watch more stuff, more One Punch Man channels. But Chibi Reviews, Moist Critical, Tyrone Magnus, myself, we may not be the hardest of hardcore. I read the comments on Anime Anxieties of season 1 recap and review, and I could probably even look at the comments on this Mastar video before we continue, and you'll see that there'll probably be a whole bunch more people in here that completely agree with the side that season 3 is trash compared to season 2. But let's go ahead and finish up and continue with Mastar here.
Is it? Are people jumping the gun on the criticism, or is all this PNG, one frame, still shots, is their criticism valid and important? Like, who's actually right here? Where does One Punch Man Season 3 actually stand? Because the viewpoints among the fan base is completely split in half. First of all, I want to say that this discourse that the community is having right now, although everybody's kind of infighting over the season, this discourse has a healthy result. It's important that we talk about these things so that we can educate each other and learn the animation process so that we actually know what we're talking about and we can critique better, because critique, the entire point of it, is to help the creators. The more knowledge that we have, the better we can critique. But because anime creation is such a niche profession, most people really don't have an in-depth understanding.
I would not say that animation is a niche profession. Let me just show you guys something right here. Hold on one moment. Let me pull up my Discord. Let me just show you guys something here. This is a fan-made animation from one guy over 2 weeks using Adobe. Let me go ahead and let you guys see this. Okay, you guys saw that? That's from this guy, the Derpies. Deku and Bakugo fan animation, by the way. If you haven't seen the recent episode of My Hero Academia, sorry, spoilers. I should have mentioned that up front, but there you go. Spoilers. That's one guy over 2 weeks using Adobe. Right here, he says it right here. 2 weeks to make, animated mostly in Adobe Animate and Blender for the city background. I forgot to give him a like. Give this guy One Punch Man season 3. Hell, give him season 2 for that matter. So no, animation is not niche. But it obviously, if you don't work in animation, you won't know the ins and outs and nuances of animations and techniques. But to say that it's niche is not a very fair assessment of the situation. Once again, like I said, this Mastar, he created a One Punch Man fan-made animation, and he did a pretty good job. So it makes a question. Why is it JC staff is having a tough time doing this animation? If it's above their pay grade, they need to give it up.
Understanding behind the process. On the other hand, it's not fair to say people who don't understand the process are not allowed to criticize because, to be honest, they are probably the biggest consumer base. So actually, people who don't understand the animation process, if they are buying products, which is what keeps the property going, their input is more valid. If you have a fancy restaurant and people come in and order food, they're allowed to tell you if they think it's good or bad. They're a paying customer. And their input is very important even if they don't know anything about cooking and food because they're your consumer base. You have to make the consumers happy. That's very important. And if you don't make the consumers happy, you don't have anything anymore.
And I made that same point in my video, my 2 videos that I made, one reacting to Moist Critical and another one reacting to a One Piece animator that was making the exact same type of argument that it's more complicated than just saying JC staff doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe we should blame the production committee. No, we as customers have the right to go in there and look at this product. We don't need to understand it. That's not our point of view. You guys are putting yourselves as the experts on this particular product, and you're putting it out to market for people to buy and consume. If we're giving you money for the product where you say you are the expert, then you are responsible for going in there and making sure we enjoy your product. If we criticize you, you need to take that criticism back and improve your product. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, we just get up and go. If you try to blame the customer, we'll just get up and go. Ask Disney on Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, anything that they're doing. Ask anybody in Western entertainment. Ask what's going on in a video game, Western video games, what they think about telling customers, hey, we don't value your opinion. In fact, if you keep on complaining, we're going to call you names. So look where they're at right now.
If you tell your paying customer who says that your food doesn't taste good, that they don't know anything about food, they're going to leave, they're never going to come back, and they're going to tell all their friends not to come back either. So everybody's input, yes, is valid. But that's why at the same time, it's important for us content creators to explain the animation process as much as we possibly can. I've seen that people are getting more and more educated, and myself included, before I started YouTube, I knew literally nothing about animation. I didn't even really know how animation was made. And I think that's just very common because the process is not very entertaining. The end result is extremely entertaining, but watching the process is like watching paint dry. And most people don't have the attention span for that. There's too many distractions in this world, and they really just want to watch the end product and then give their thoughts. But around the time that Dragon Ball Super was airing on YouTube, a few content creators started to make videos talking about the actual animators. This kind of content actually exploded because fans were very curious and interested in learning about this whole subject that is highly ingrained in their favorite property. You see a certain scene go viral on social media, you learn who the animator is, and then when you learn that that animator is going to have a highlight cut on the next episode, you get crazy excited. And that starts branching you into more animators, and you start learning more about the process and supervisors, and then you start to like really fill in the entire process. And I think that for kind of like the collective consciousness of anime lovers on YouTube, people who like to talk about their favorite properties. We've all been like learning this fairly slowly over the last 5 to 8 years, myself included. I'm not an expert, but I studied this industry a great deal because I thought I wanted to get into it. And kind of what I realized is this is one of the most brutal, underpaid, undervalued, underappreciated industry in the entire world. It's insane, actually, how much work it is to create such little footage, and you get paid like basically nothing for it. And then on top of that, you get criticized endlessly for it.
I think that comes with any type of job that has creativity involved. Look at George R.R. Martin. When is that guy ever going to finish Winds of Winter? But I digress on that point. When it comes to animation, yes, it is time consuming. It takes a lot of time. And I was reading the I forget the name of the director and the producer of Solo Leveling, but at the height when it was still very popular, they're going around doing a bunch of interviews, and everybody's interested. When is Solo Leveling season 3 coming out? Because right now, Solo Leveling season 2 is the last of Solo Leveling. We're not going to get any more out of that. But the producer basically came out and said, well, if there's going to be a Solo Leveling season 3, the earliest you're going to see it is the Summer Olympics. Now, the Summer Olympics are in 2028. So that's 3 years from now. And that sounds about right, because it took about a total of 2 years to animate both seasons 1 and 2. And one episode, I think they said that one episode of Solo Leveling had about 4,000 frames of animation. So you're doing 4,000 frames of animation that's going to get cut down to about a 22-minute episode. And that 22-minute episode consists of a opening theme, an ending theme, and then about 15 to 17 minutes of content between. That's a lot of work, a lot of time. And yes, you are going to get criticized for it, but that's what comes with the territory. You chose to be in this industry, and you gotta put out the work effort. If it's beyond your capacity, you need to hand it off. You need to sit there and say, this is beyond my pay grade, this is beyond my purview. We don't have the expertise for this. We can't hire out for it. Someone come take this property off our hands.
It's like the most underappreciated medium in the entire world, because we all love animation. We love it. We're mesmerized by it. And we want all of our favorite shows to be perfect all the time. But unfortunately, that's very difficult to do. There are money constraints, there's talent restraints, scheduling can be a massive issue. It kind of seems like the planning and scheduling for One Punch Man Season 3 must have been really off, because they announced it was coming out 3 years ago. But I'm hearing stuff now that JC Staff only had 1 year to actually work on the whole season. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you don't need 2 years of planning just to give the production stage 1 year. That seems like ridiculous. And if that happened, if that's true, again, that's Bandai. And as I explained in my video when I was responding to Charlie, which, you know,
I would agree with that right there. I didn't watch his explanation to Charlie, his reaction to Charlie, who is Moist Critical, who he's talking about. I made a Moist Critical video. But yes, and one of my other videos for the One Piece animator, Vincent Shansar, was saying that you got to talk about the production committee. The production committee, by the way, is Bandai. Bandai Namco needs to sit there and say, you know something, if we aren't going to really value this property, then we should just put it on the back burner. We don't want to really pay that much money for One Punch Man. Then we're just going to put that off. But again, this is still a lot of blame to go around. JC Staff can still get it too. I know a lot of times over in Japan, they don't want to be disrespectful to the higher ups and everything like that. And that's a laudable. But at the same time, you got to sit there and understand something. At some point, you got to take a stand and say, hey, if you want to get the best out of this, you need to give us the time to work on it. And you need to give us the budget to work on it.
I might have got a little bit over passionate in that video, but all of my points still stand. The main issue here is Bandai being cheap. everybody wants One Punch Man to be like season 1 again. And they probably could have gotten Mappa if they just wanted to fork over the money for it. But I'm sure that the investors decided we don't need to spend that kind of money on One Punch Man. It's going to be popular no matter what. Just creating any season will increase sales, which I think is a horrible mentality. But what are we in the rest of the world? Like, what can we even do? See, the issue is that in Japan, like, they don't listen to us. Nintendo and Toei, Bandai, they very, very rarely, if ever, listen to the global community. Now,
And I would agree with that. They're not the primary consumer of Japanese products. The Japanese are. I wish we over here did the same thing. But we have this habit of trying to listen to all these other disinterested, or rather conflicting parties on topics and issues where we should only be saying, what does our American market believe? What do they want? What is it that they're saying? I completely agree with that. So if the Japanese continue to buy this shit, even knowing that it's shit, then we have no one to blame but the Japanese on all of this. We can keep on bitching about it. We can still sit there and say, hey, you know what? We won't still buy any One Punch Man products. I don't think many Americans are playing the One Punch Man gacha games. I don't see a lot of One Punch Man merchandise flowing all over the place. That's all over in Japan. If the Japanese keep buying it, despite having these types of results, hey, who can blame Bandai and the shareholders of Bandai saying, nah, we don't want to put that much money into it. They're buying the shit anyway. Look at what Nintendo's doing with Pokemon. The most recent Pokemon ZA game, apparently it looks the exact same as the Switch version. The Switch 2 is the exact same version, and with minimal improvements, probably some degradations in some areas, based on what I've been looking at from various content creators around YouTube. The Japanese still bought that shit up hand over fist.
American companies will. You can pretty much cancel any company or any person in the whole world, except for Japanese companies. Like, the amount of horrible things that Nintendo and Toei has done to their own fan base for promoting their product, for helping them stay large, is disgusting, actually. Like, they punish their own fans. Yes, I know they're trying to protect their property and they can do whatever they want. And that's the mentality that Japan has. They really do not value our input. They value our money. And our money, in a sense, is our input. If people are not buying One Punch Man products after the launch of this season and they don't make their money back, that's what they'll hear. They're going to hear with their wallet, is what I'm trying to tell you. And maybe there's a potential here for the West to like do something to help these studios out. And I'm wondering, like, if the studios are paying their animators so little and they're really struggling, is it possible that us in the West could pool our money together to like become a production committee of our own? I mean, if you're talking about 12 episodes, it's $100,000 per episode. That's like $1.2 million. I feel like if we got all the West and we're like, hey, how much money do we need to pool together to get Toei to do another?
I'm pretty sure One Punch Man costs more than $100,000 per episode.
To do the moral arc of Dragon Ball Super. Like, I'm wondering if they would actually listen to that, but I don't think they will, because you guys have to understand the Japanese culture. If you're an outsider, they really do not like to work with you. You usually have to be formally introduced. They won't respond to your emails. And so it's very difficult to get in touch with them. At that same point, they don't really hear us. They kind of just, block us out, and they look at the revenue. And if the revenue is going up, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. So in a sense, the criticism is justifiable, even if it is nitpicky and over exaggerating. It is kind of like important, because if people stop buying One Punch Man products, then the message is still getting through that Bandai has to do better. And I mean, I think it's really unfortunate that JC Staff is taking all of the hatred. I know that the director is like on his like lifeline right now. Like, the dude is about to croak. And I'm extremely concerned, actually, with all the hatred and the memeing and the trolling and stuff.
Yeah, in that regard, I don't think that's fair that you're giving that. But at the same time, once again, it is the product that you put out. And just I'm gonna go over here real quick. I'm not gonna watch the video. This is from Chibi Reviews. Chibi Reviews had pulled up a tweet from so right here. This is the tweet right here. It's sad to see kind fans who had high expectations get angry and curse, saying you betrayed our expectations. I wouldn't say that you betrayed our expectations, but at the same time, a lot of fans are pretty angry. They are cursed. They waited 6 years to see what it is that you guys put out. And we all had a worry that when JC Staff took over the same property after the lackluster season 2, we all had approached this with trepidation. And now that the product has been released and it's worse than season 2, you kind of earned it. I'm sorry to say, you kind of earned it. Now, you don't deserve to get death threats and anything like that. No one ever deserves to get that. But getting anger from fans and customers, that's something that comes that comes along with being in customer service, unfortunately.
Like, this guy has given it everything. This is like his last project. This guy is giving it everything his body can offer, and like people just still aren't happy. I feel for the guy, and I don't think it's really his fault. Like, he is trying his best, which is what One Punch Man is about, right? It's about trying your best. But I think that the blame here really just belongs to.
Is it though? Is it really about trying your best? I guess most shonen is about trying your best. But the thing is, though, with a character like One Punch Man, he's already OP and overpowered. Does he really have to try his best? Maybe I should start reading the manga for One Punch Man, because as a character, as a protagonist, Saitama really is not that good of a character because he's so overpowered. How do you give him a challenge that he needs to overcome? Because I don't see it happening in season 2. It did happen in season 1. He was pushed to his limits, if you will, when he had to throw his serious punch. When he fought the final guy, I forgot his name, in season 1. But as far as doing your best, he's already at his best. He did it. He did his peak. His 100 push-ups, his 100 sit-ups, his 100 squats, and a 10-mile run. He did all that already. So that got him to his peak. So I don't know about him being, this One Punch Man being about his best, but maybe the manga says something different. I know that Garo is having a character dilemma right now, trying to figure out where he fits in all of this. He wants to know whether he's actually... he's strong enough. Is he supposed to be a hero? Is he more of a monster? He's trying to figure that out. It would be good to have quality animation and artwork to go along with that journey, but we got what we got in front of us.
Bandai being cheap. One Punch Man obviously deserves Mappa, Bones, Wit, A1, something like that. And I really don't think Bandai wanted to pay the money to hire a high-end studio. So in that sense, trolling and attacking this studio, I think, is awful. It's extremely disrespectful to people who are just trying their best to give you something that you love. But the issue is that Bandai doesn't really have a face that they can attack. You can blast Bandai all you want. They're not going to listen to you at all. And JC Staff, we can see that they're listening. And so when people see that you listen, they kind of go in even more, I feel like. And that's just extremely unfortunate. I mean, I really like if the Japanese companies, it would be so amazing if they had one like YouTuber work for them that could literally convey their messaging and answer important questions that fans have. But they just refuse. Like, they'll put out like a tiny press release on their website that doesn't explain anything. And there needs to be some sort of bridge between the consumers of the West who have actually generated millions and millions and millions of revenue for anime coming from Japan through licensing services like Crunchyroll, like Netflix, etc. that has been huge business for the anime community. So you'd think that they will want to listen to us more, but it just, unfortunately, the culture in Japan, they really don't listen to the West. And we can cry and scream into the void all we want, but that's more so for us to educate each other. So that if you really feel like it's bad, you know, if you really want to send the message unfortunately is just stop buying One Punch Man products. But I don't think you should, in my opinion. Like, I think that the criticism is justified. It's just exaggerated because it's kind of fun to hate on One Punch Man right now. But people were doing that, you know, like leading up to the season even coming out. I think they were just ready. Like, there was a huge group of people just ready to just take a dump on this property no matter how good it was. And also, negativity is content. Negative videos.
I don't think that's a fair assessment. I think people truly, genuinely were curious as to whether or not season 3 was going to be a shit show versus being a high quality entertainment. A lot of the channels that I was watching, we were all hopeful. I was hopeful, but this goes back to JC Staff. I know he's trying to take a little bit of the heat off of JC Staff, but the lack of communication is on JC Staff. The lack of promo materials being put out is on JC Staff. The lack of a trailer is on JC Staff. The stuff that was released is on JC Staff. And the characters, or rather the voice actors, not meeting one another, the Japanese voice actors not meeting the American voice actors, that's on JC Staff. That's not on Bandai. I think Bandai took a pretty much, here's the money, do what you can, and leave it at that. Could Bandai have been more involved and given more money? Yes, but I don't think money is the issue with JC Staff. I just think One Punch Man is just so far out of their out of their expertise, their house, if you will, that this is just a property that just got away from them. It just got away from them. And then I'm assuming between seasons 2 and 3, key people got up and left, probably said they don't want to deal with the shit anymore. And the ones that were remaining, plus some new hires, produced this right here. They should have just given it up and said, "Nah, we can't do this work." It probably would have harmed JC Staff's reputation, but not that. I don't think that much because, again, reincarnated as a daughter is great. And then Gotcha 9999, that one also looked great. This one, One Punch Man does it. I think he's being unfair saying that people are just trying to create hate videos. I don't want to create hate videos. Tyrone Magnus doesn't want to create hate videos. Chibi Reviews, sometimes he does want to create hate videos. Other times he's like, nah, we'll be fair. I don't think Moist Critical wanted to create that video. He titled his video, "I hope this ages horribly." We want One Punch Man to be great. In fact, when I just speak for Tyrone Magnus and myself, we both graded the first episode low. But when it came to episode 2, we looked at it fairly. And we said, oh, this is actually a little bit better. Me personally, I was like, man, I got a smile on my face when I saw that fight scene. It wasn't the best fight scene I've ever seen, but it was starting to pick up there. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can see myself being excited for episode 3. Same with Tyrone Magnus. We were excited. We are not the hardcore One Punch Man fan out there, but we are familiar enough with One Punch Man. We want it to be great. But if it's not going to be great, we're gonna call it as it is. We're gonna call balls and strikes. And so far, One Punch Man, at least with episode 1, they struck out completely. And episode 2, they hit a ball, so that's still technically a strike. Well, no, it's not a. We'll say it's a ball. I was thinking that a foul. No, it's not a foul. It's a ball. The pitcher messed up, so they're 1-1. We gotta wait to see what episode 3 is like.
Tend to get more views, but for the most part, it's their opinion and it's subjective. And you watch people for their opinion sometimes because you want to know if their opinion matches your opinion. You can't hate on people for giving their opinion. I just think that like exaggerating on purpose to be negative, to like hurt these people, is a bad idea. I mean, these people are literally hurting, and I mean physically, mentally, emotionally, and the director's blood will not be on my hands. If something happens to that guy, which I have some information that the public doesn't have. These are real people with real feelings, just like you. They see your content, they see your comments, and you are hurting people. If it's just criticism, they'll probably...
No. You're not gonna try to put that on us. You are not gonna try to put that on us, Mastar. Hell motherfucking no. You ain't gonna try to put that on us. We are giving our opinions. We are saying what we've seen. And we're not being intentionally negative to be negative. We're again, at least for myself, I am just looking at the product that is being put out, and I'm calling it like it is. Episode 1 rather was a disappointment. It was a massive disappointment. Episode 2 was a little better, but that's not saying much. And I hope that this director doesn't do any self-harm to himself or anything like that. You can't, you gotta learn, it's not against you. It's against the work. And maybe that's probably more damaging and everything like that, but life will go on. We're not gonna be held accountable for anything that happens to anyone. And it is unfair for you to try to put that on us because we are giving our opinions that happen to be critical. No, you ain't gonna do that, Mastar.
Probably listen, but something about the anime community, man, you have a lot of trolls who are, people who are just trying to destroy others, and it's unhealthy. It doesn't help anyone. But the end result and why all of this is important is, as a collective of anime enjoyers, we're trying to decide now, like, what is the proper etiquette. And so this discourse is important. I'm not always going to be right. I'm going to give my opinions too, and your opinions are valid as well. We're all just trying to figure out like what the truth actually is. So hopefully you guys will be like a little bit nicer to each other and to the One Punch Man staff. And I pray to God the next 10 episodes have a lot of action so people will stop.
No, I like how he mentions trolls and all that. That's what they always say. That's what they all. Oh, the anime community is toxic. The gaming community is toxic. The movie community is toxic. This and that is toxic. No, we're not toxic. We are passionate though, and we like to have disagreement. This is a problem with social media in the modern age. In the old days, we would have these vehement disagreements in person. And sometimes they would get so heated that they would turn into fights. Other times they got heated enough, but we all knew better. Nowadays, you can get into these heated discussions and people take offense to it. We didn't take offense to it back in the day. It was about the content. We had discussions about the video games. We had discussions about the cartoons. We had discussions about the comic books. It was about the content, not about the individual. For the most part, we never took it personal. If we felt it got personal, hey, we squared up. But for the most part, at least the discussions I participated in, it never got to that point. But that wasn't because we were being toxic. We were just being passionate about our views and about our position. We're not trying to sit here and make the One Punch director, the JC staff feel bad about their work. We're just being honest about our opinions about the work, and we're only talking about the work. Anybody that is out there that is sending death threats, fuck them. They're not representative of anyone. If they're making personal attacks or ad hominem attacks on the directors or JC staff, they're not representative either. We are just talking about the work. That's it. But those are my thoughts on the issue. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with Mastar here that the One Punch Man community is split in half, and that one half is just being toxic and mean, and the other one has the right opinions or the best opinions that reinforces the work of JC staff. Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments, let me know what you think, and make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really helps me out. And remember, this is Chris Boat signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.